Well, what is an SOP? What is an SOP? SOP is an important document that can make you stand out of the crowd and convey your story to the university you're applying to. Today's session will be an important session for all of us, and that's why we're conducting this with Bhartiyam on how to get our SOPs right. I'd like to welcome Dr. Akshay Jaju to the session. Dr. Akshay Jaju is a founding member for Bhartiyam USA and the current executive VP for the organization. He works as senior research scientist at Bell Labs. Dr. Jaju graduated with a PhD in computer science from Purdue University. And prior to that, he got a BTech in computer science with a gold medal from IIT Guwahati. Cheers to him. Dr. Jaju has been very active in leadership roles in various student organizations. And today he'll be telling us about Bhartiyam USA. I think it's time to hit it off, Akshay.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. And so this is workshop being organized for your SOP writing skills or other things, how to write a good SOP, as Ayushi mentioned in details about it. So I'm just going to briefly mention about our organization, Bhartiyam, what we do and who we are. I hope you guys can see my slides. So Bhartiyam is an organization of Indian origin youths in the US. We see ourselves as a group of people who are, those who came to the US with one aspiration to do something good, for them, to do something good for the country, for the community. And we know that there are many successful people in the US who are of Indian origin. And that's why this idea we started with, that if we can connect all together and we can help each other more to grow in our careers, then we'll be even able to help better ourselves, our community, and both the countries, India and the United States. So with this idea, we started this organization, and we see ourselves as working in 4 domains. We say it as 4 C's of Bhartiyam, which is culture, career, country, and community. We celebrate the cultural diversity of India and Indian people. We actively facilitate things where our community member can do career-based networking among each other and organize. One such example is today's workshop and several other things where people can actively improve their skills to do better in their career, and many other mentorship and networking events. We work towards the progress of both the countries, India and the US. More on details on that you can check on our website. And we work a lot with local communities. One such example was during COVID, we ran 7 days a week, 15 hours helpline for all Indian origin students at different places. Some of the activities we have done, as I mentioned, we see ourselves into 3 categories: Scholars Council, Students Council, and Professionals Council. Students Council have been doing events to connect. Scholars Council have been doing events to connect postdoctoral fellows, faculty members, and bring them on board also to help students. Student Councils organize several things. It collaborates with different Indian student associations on campuses and many students, and provide them opportunity to connect with our platform. And Professional Council is a forum where we do strong networking among working professionals and experts in different fields. So that's where I would stop and let people now go to the meat of today's session, the workshop for SOP. So over to you, Ayushi. Thank you. Ayushi, you need to unmute yourself.
I'm sorry. I think this happens all the time. So thank you, Akshay, for letting us know about Bhartiyam. And I hope we can all go and check out the website. If we have any doubts, we want to contribute, or we need any help, we can talk to Akshay Jaju on his LinkedIn, or Bhartiyam USA mails, contacts, whatever you want. Let's invite the speaker of the day, Professor Venkata Gandikota. He's an assistant professor of electrical engineering and computer science at Syracuse University. He's known as GV, so I'll refer to him as that. GV received his PhD in computer science from Purdue University as well in 2017. And he did a BE in computer science and MSc in mathematics from BITS Pilani, Goa. He was an NSF Tripods postdoctoral fellow at the University of Massachusetts Amherst from 2018 to 2020. His research interests include sublinear algorithms, error correcting codes, and lattices to solve foundational problems in data science. He is the recipient of Source RA and Q's awards for involving undergraduates in his research. Let's welcome Professor GV and clap in our own houses to welcome him.
Great. Thank you so much for the nice introduction. So I'll try to share my screen. Hopefully we can get this right. So you guys can see my screen in the full screen mode, right?
Yes.
And you can hear me clearly.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So I was told to give this like a short talk on how to write this excellent SOP, and it really made me think. Because I go through like plenty of SOPs, and it actually made me wonder like what characteristics of SOPs really like catch my interest, like what makes them stand out. And this is what I could take away from all the exercise that I did. So roughly, so I just want to start off with what really an SOP aims to achieve. Okay, this is not allowing me to change my slides. Okay, cool. Yeah, so SOP, as you all can see, like from all these university applications, like SOP is just a personal narrative, right? It asks you to tell a story on what your goals are and how you plan to achieve them. Okay, so your goals could be plenty, like every person has a different goal in life. You could want to become a professor or like a leading researcher in some industry, or you can become an educator, or you want to change the world in your own way, right? So SOP here has to specify these goals in clear. Okay, so SOP gives you an opportunity to tell the reviewing committee, whoever is in the graduate committee, to specify what your goals are and what is the path that you want to take in order to achieve that goal. Okay, so you would have done plenty of things so far, and we really want to know how the specific degree program, or how you getting this particular MS in computer science or whatever program you're applying to, how that particular degree program will help you achieve your goal. Okay, so this degree program is not your end goal, and we want to know what your end goal is and how this particular degree program would act as a bridge to achieve that goal. Okay, so it gives you the basic question that comes about is, okay, like we have your CV, we have your transcripts, we have all the necessary details that are needed to judge you based on your academic skills or whatever merits you have, right? But this SOP here gives you a chance to express these non-quantifiable qualities. By that I mean, like we do understand, like not everyone has an equal opportunity to, let's say, like get an internship at the topmost research university or research industry. Not everyone has the equal opportunity to get internships or participate in different competitions, receive awards, right? This SOP here is your chance to bridge that gap, right? It gives you a chance to express what all you have attempted, what all you have tried, what are the challenges you have faced in your life, and how you overcame those challenges, right? There should be a win here. So you won through these challenges, and that is exactly why you are here, trying to pursue your goal, like pushing the boundaries and trying to get through this degree program, which will help you get to the goal, right? So this here will allow you to express or show how you have worked through your challenges. Okay, so it lets you express your non-quantifiable qualities that you do not see in your CV, that I do not see in your transcripts. Okay, so yeah, so a good SOP really helps you stand out. It really helps you uh, kind of cross the barrier between a good application and an excellent application. Okay, but before we begin, like, who am I and why should you even listen to what I say, right? And just a brief slide on why whatever I say might be important in future. So as I introduced, I am an assistant professor in the electrical and computer science engineering department. But more importantly, what experience I bring in is basically I do participate in committees. So these are like internal committees within the department formed by faculty and staff that are made to review these PhD applications and master's applications. Okay, so I was a part of that committee. I'm still a part of that committee. And what we generally do in this process is basically get all these applications. So we receive close to some thousands of applications every year. And what we do is sort these applicants into buckets. Okay, so we are required to put the excellent candidates in one pile, the good candidates in another pile, and the rejects in a different pile. Okay, so we do this process of sorting the applications in 3 different buckets. And most of the time that I see, uh, almost all the international applications, merit-wise, they are more or less similar. Okay, everyone has a good GPA, everyone has done relevant courses, everyone has a bunch of awards, maybe a couple of publications. So I see most of them in terms of merit, everyone stands almost equally well. So how do I place like the candidates in excellent versus good buckets is the SOP. So we go through every SOP individually. We read through them. So it is the faculty who reads your SOP. Okay, so remember your SOP is read by faculty. So you should address the faculty or the department as a whole. And we do understand jargon. So if you're applying to a particular program in computer science, so using technical terms is not a deterrent because it is read by faculty who do understand what you mean, right? Uh, so yeah, so we do sort applications and SOP does make a difference. Uh, being a part of the committee, what I have gained is like my experience into understanding, okay, which applications are good, which applications are not so good, because it is very easy to distinguish between people who have put an effort towards writing an SOP versus people who have not put in much effort writing their SOPs, who just do some kind of work towards the last minute just before the deadlines to push out some SOP. Okay. So today, like maybe in the next 15-20 minutes, I would like to share what my opinions are on how to write an excellent SOP. Okay. But before I go ahead, like there's a small disclaimer, like my opinions and my personal biases are based on the applications that I have reviewed. Okay, so they would be very specific to computer science, master's or PhD programs in specific. They might not hold for you. Like, so take whatever I give my opinion, like with a pinch of salt. Feel free to like improvise on whatever I say. But these are roughly like a high level skeleton or a high level structure on whatever I have gained from my experience on reading multiple SOPs. So if you have like gone through the graduate application process on different universities, like if you look at Stanford or if you look at Purdue or let's say Syracuse University or different other universities, like every university asks for a different set of things in their SOP. Some call it SOP, some call it personal statements, some ask for both. There are like 2 different meanings associated with each of these required documents, right? A statement of purpose is a very high level document that wants you to aggregate all your goals, what programs you want to apply to, what your experiences are. So SOP in general focuses more on experiences, while personal statement is more about your interests. Okay, so what forms you as a person, like who are you? the main question. Your qualifications do not define who you are. Okay, so we want to know who you are in general. So what are your interests? What framed those interests and so on. Okay, but roughly, like if you go through the requirements, all of these guys ask almost the similar kind of questions. Okay, so the main kind of questions is, okay, what do you want to study? Like, is it a master's in computer science or a PhD in computer science or a master's in cybersecurity, or let's say in information technology or mechanical engineering, whatever. Okay, so you have plenty of options. So the main thing that we want to understand is, what do you want to study? And this should be backed by a very strong motivation. Like, why that specific program? Like, why do you want to study the master's in computer science, or why do you want to like go through a master's in cybersecurity? So why that specific program? This motivation is one of the most important aspects of an SOP. Okay, so this will be like kind of your beginning of your SOP, like trying to motivate like where you're coming from, or what kind of motivations or what interests you have, and what led you to understanding, or what led you to applying to that specific program there. Okay, and then you can build on like trying to define what your prior experiences were. Okay, so you could have like plenty of experiences. It could be like research internships or industry internships, or some volunteer work you would have done. So what are your prior experiences? And each experience here gives you an opportunity to share a unique personal trait of yours. Like, what have you learned from that particular experience? Okay, so each experience that you share will give you a strong opening, or a strong stand into what you have learned through that experience, or whatever you have done to overcome some challenges that you have faced during that experience. So we will elaborate on each of these individually. And finally, like the last two things that you really want to specify is, what will you do with that degree? So like I have already touched upon this thing before. So what is your final goal, and how will this specific degree help you achieve that final goal? Okay. And the most important thing that many people really skip over is basically trying to address this particular question. Like, why is this particular university a good fit? Like, why did you apply to Stanford and not MIT? Like, why are you applying to this particular program and not some other XYZ program somewhere else? So why the specific university's program is a good fit is a question that you really have to think about. You do have to do your due diligence research towards understanding what is the unique feature that this particular program is offering. Okay, so yeah, so this is one of the most important questions you'll have to answer. All right. Cool. Yeah, so I would really urge you to like, if you haven't yet started, I would really urge you guys to like start thinking about these 5 questions or 6 questions that you have. Like just in your head, like try to jot down points like, okay, what is the thing that is really motivating you to do this particular, or what is the thing that is really motivating you to apply for the specific program? So yeah, so let's look at like a more detailed analysis on each of these particular questions and where you want to address them in your SOP. Okay. Aishi, are there any questions in the chat? Do you want me to take them as I go along or towards the end?
Let's take them towards the end. And yeah, I'd encourage all of you, the attendees, to post your questions on the chat and we take them in the end.
All right. Okay, so let's get into the basic structure of an SOP. Again, like this is not a hard and fast rule that you do have to follow this particular structure. This is a rough guideline which will help you at least like get started. So once you have a rough draft, you can always like move things around, shuffle them, reduce the size and all of those. But this is just a high level, like think of this as a guideline or a worksheet for you to like get moving towards writing a good SOP. Okay. Uh, so for the structure, it is very important for you guys to like stick to the word limit. Okay, so whatever has been asked. Different universities have different word limits. It could be 500 words or 1,000 words or 1 page or 2 pages. Uh, the structure is usually mentioned, like it is already mentioned, the limit is already there, like it says 1 or 2 pages. Okay, make sure you stick to that. Like 2 pages is 2 pages. Okay, don't go beyond 2 pages on one line. Don't do that. Stick to the 2 page. uh, and when we say like a 2 page or a 1 page limit, just make sure like it's a single spaced, the font size is decently big enough, like 11 or 12 point font. Like I don't really have to like squint through reading the SOP, okay, just because you want to fit a lot of things into those 1 or 2 pages. um, it should not be too long, so it is very important to be concise. Like you really want to like condense all your experiences or all your thoughts into those specific limits, either 500,000 or 1 page or a 2 page. uh, I would not recommend, if the university says 1 or 2 page, I would say go for 1 page rather than 2 pages. Okay. Yeah, if you have to share, 2 pages is not a big no-no, but then like try to keep it short. And the reason I say this is because like we review roughly like 200 applicants per faculty, right? This is while we are doing our other chores. Like we have our own research group to run, we have teaching to do. There are other jobs that we do, and reading 200 applications is a time consuming job, right? Uh, what we do is like we skim over these things. Like we read in a very fast pace. Unless you catch the hook, unless you really give us the bait for us to like read thoroughly, it is very difficult to like keep the interest going. Okay, so keep it short, highlight the important things, so that I don't really have to like look for what program you are applying for, or like, okay, what are the experiences you have, do you have any publications, like all of those. uh, Make sure you highlight those important aspects. Okay. So yeah, don't keep it too long. Like try to write it from the reviewer's perspective. Like think about, okay, like you are given some 200 applications to review within a short time frame, right? So the application deadlines are usually around December-ish, December 15th, 1st, or January 1st kind of thing. So no one works during Christmas break. Like frankly speaking, we don't. It is for you guys to work and give us the applications during that time. So the review process usually begins around like mid-January. That is when we start reviewing. And there is a competition, right? Like everyone wants to catch the good students. We are all aware that students are not applying to just one particular university or one particular degree program. So we really want to like go fast, like catch the good applicants early, because they would receive other applications from other universities, and we really want to get them quick. So we have a very short deadline to work with. So we roughly have like 15 days or 20 days to sort out the excellent applications out. Uh, and for this, like we really want your SOP to be succinct and really enticing and interesting for us to read through. Okay. So yeah, like keeping it super long will just like discourage me to like read that uh, whole thing. So keep it short. Highlight the key aspects. Make it easy for me to go through. Okay, make it easy for the reviewer to like get the main points out. Uh, and roughly the structure. This is again like not a don't just stick to this particular format, but this is roughly the format that we see always, and that is what we expect. So you can always structure your SOP into 4 different sections. So it could be like a background, start with an introduction, a background, add more specific details about the program and some future plans that you have, and finally end with a strong conclusion. All 4 of these are important. The most important aspect is the first one. Okay. Your introduction should be your strongest point, and which is why I'll suggest you to write that introduction way towards the end. Okay, write the introduction the last. You can always start with something, but try to keep refining the introduction, and introduction forms the main thing. Like this is the part that I will read first, and this is the part that will motivate me from stopping, like this is the part that actually makes the difference between me putting your application aside for later or reading the whole thing at the same stretch, right? So make your introduction the strongest. And all right, so what do we really want in an introduction? So the introduction, again, uh, like even before you start writing this whole SOP thing, like just remember, like you are telling a story. Okay, so think about you being the hero of your story, and you as a hero, you really want the reader to know the story or what your journey, right? You have some long-term goal, and what really motivated you towards achieving that goal. So what is your main motivation? So what do you want to study, your overarching goal, and what you want to accomplish by this degree. So this thing should be very clear in your first particular paragraph. I really want to know, okay, what program you're applying to. Okay, I quickly want to know, okay, what is the goal that you want to achieve through this particular degree program. Okay, so your introduction is very important. Have a key structure, have a nice introduction. And this introduction is what you want to stand out. Okay, tell your own personal story. It cannot be a generic one. Do not start with quotations from some, let's say, like something like Alan Turing or someone. But try to be very specific in what you want to achieve. Keep it simple. You don't really want to like go all Shashi Tharoor on it. Keep it nice, keep it simple so that it's easy for the reviewers to follow and understand and get the main points out of it. Okay. So while you're writing this introduction, you really want to think about your motivation. Like, why are you pursuing this particular goal? Right. So let's say I have a goal of becoming the world-class scientist, and let's say algorithms and complexity. I can be like very specific, and let's say, okay, I want to be the world-class uh, scientist or the person who knows everything and anything about quantum algorithms. Let's say, uh, but I really want a very strong motivation. Like, what is motivating me? Like, why do I even want to do that? Right. So think about like problems, questions like some idea that really turns you on intellectually, like something like, let's say, like Google Translate's ability to translate from any language to any other language in real time, right? So you're not taking like a whole lot of time to do this. So think about these kind of ideas that really motivated you, or think about the current issues in the field, like what are the problems you really want to see solved, what are the problems that you have faced and that has really motivated you towards asking some particular questions. Um, so when did you first exhibit interest in that particular area? Like what were the circumstances that actually made you interested in that particular field of study? So yeah, think about these questions. Like it's all personal. For everyone, it's a personal experience. It's a different experience. So think about these things on your own. Start jotting things down. Okay, just keep writing points. Like whatever you think of, just keep writing them down. You might end up with something like a 5-page SOP in the beginning, but then cutting things short is much easier than trying to elaborate on things later. Okay. So the first thing is like, okay, just keep writing, like just try to answer all of these questions. It could be in one sentence format, it could be a paragraph format. Try to answer all of these questions. Because for everyone, this is a different journey. It's a different thing. So put yourself in the picture of a hero who is trying to accomplish a goal. Try to write this story. Okay, try to write your own story. Yeah, the motivation, I would say, is one of the most important parts, and the introduction, like the first paragraph, it should really give me a hook. Okay, so a hook to hang on and try to read the whole thing in one stretch. Then the bulk of the body here lies in experiences. So what are the experiences that shaped your interests through different times, right? It could be like you start off pursuing an undergraduate degree, you would have done a bunch of courses or some internships, or you have interacted with some professors or some researchers, who really motivated you towards learning new things or different things in a very different way, right? So everyone has different experiences, and uh, the experiences in general should have a similar kind of a structure, like what have you done so far towards achieving your goal, and then you connect these experiences to the degree program that you're applying to. And don't shy away from being specific or from being technical in here, okay? But be accurate. The thing that I have seen in many of the CS applications for masters is people try to throw in a lot of technical words, but they are not accurate enough. Okay, so that is very off-putting, right? I see a sentence that doesn't make technically much sense to me. I know this person is not being serious. So be specific. Don't shy away from being technical. Like, okay, if you have done a particular research project, write about the research project. Like, write what those challenges, what were the challenges you were faced with. What is your contribution to that research project? And what is the win that you achieved? So something like if you were working on, let's say, some application domain and you have achieved some results and the results have improved on the state of the art by some 15% or 20%. So mention that, that is your win. And your win here culminated in a research paper. That is a double whammy. You get a second win, right? So make sure you specify these wins. And these wins here should be very specific to your experience, okay? So what your contribution was. It is not sufficient that you were a part of a team that led to this particular invention. It should be your contribution that helped you achieve that invention. Okay, so make sure you are very specific and write technical terms. It doesn't hurt, and it's mostly read by faculty who do understand the technical stuff. Okay, so write and be specific about these things. So like some of the experiences could include your like jobs between your undergraduate degree and when you're applying now. It could be some research experience, some teaching experience, your courses that you have done during your undergraduate, or some volunteer work that you have done. And all of these experiences could develop a different aspect of your personal identity, right? And what I would refrain from doing is listing your CV. We already have it with us. Okay, I don't want to see your CV listed all out again, like saying that, hey, you have done undergraduate first, here you have done so and so courses, then you did this internship where you did so and so things. That's already there in your CV. I don't want to see that whole thing again. I want your personal experiences. Don't have to list each and every part of your experience, just the key parts which do bring out something new, which do bring out some quality of yours that will help us assess that you are serious about this application or you are serious about achieving your goals. Okay. So yeah, that is a part about experiences. And finally, one thing that really kind of motivates us towards reading this is basically trying to understand like why you are a good fit, right? So what do you think are the unique features of this particular program at this particular university that it is offering to you? So for example, like if you apply to, let's say, like foundations of cryptography to Syracuse University, I directly know from the start that you are bluffing because there is no faculty who works on that particular area here, right? So do your due diligence, okay? Do your research, try to pick out faculty or some professors who are working in some specific area or notable alumni who have graduated from that program and have made a difference and who have inspired you, right? So bring out like unique things about the program and don't be lazy here. Like do your research, read through the university's website, read through the pages, go through faculty pages, read through their research, like at least the ones that interest you. You don't have to go through like all the faculty members' profiles. You just pick 2 or 3 that really catch your attention, like the ones whose interest overlaps with your interests, right? So pick those faculty out, read through their profile, many of the faculty do have their own personal websites that lists their research experiences or what their research interests are. If not, pick out a few recent papers of theirs. Don't pick out papers from like 1950s. So these might be areas where they have stopped working on completely, right? So for example, I get emails that say like, hey, I'm interested in natural language processing, and I'm really interested in working with you on machine learning theory, but that's not what I do, right? So make sure you are very specific about and you understand what that faculty is doing. Okay, so you don't say that, hey, I want to work on foundations of cryptography with GV, and that would be like, hey, I don't even work on this area. So, okay, so this guy might not be super serious about the application, right? So, yeah, so do your research and do proper research here. Right? So once you do that, it will automatically give you a very nice paragraph that you can really add into your SOP about how your goals tie into what this particular program offers. Okay. So it should be a very succinct paragraph, and it should really stand out. Like, it should really tell us about what you think is the thing that we offer and would be beneficial to you, and how would your application would benefit us as well, right? So in particular, it could be like you bring in some of your experiences that are not here, and that might be helpful to us as a department, right? So yeah, do this. It could also be like something about the geographic location of the university. Like, let's say if you're talking about something like UMass Amherst, there are 5 universities in that area. If you're talking about something like Boston University or Northeastern, like it's right in the city of Boston, and there are like 6 other universities in its vicinity. So you get this, and 3 really nice big research companies in that particular location. So make sure like so just writing a sentence about the geographic location and how that would help you uh, towards your goals could also be a nice way to like show that you have done your homework about researching about the university, right? So yeah, so this is roughly the structure, and always end with a very nice like a concrete summary or a conclusion with the final statement of intent that you really want to apply here for the so and so program to pursue whatever is your goal, right? So this was roughly about the structure of how you should draft. Again, like, this is not the hard and fast rule that you should have the specific structure. You can improvise, but these are some tips which I really recommend you guys follow. Like, some of them that I have learned when I had applied for grad schools, some of them as I keep learning while I read applications. So make sure you read the specific requirements very carefully. Like, every university has different set of requirements. Don't make a single template SOP for all universities, right? Like, don't be lazy there. Read the requirements and try to address those requirements in particular. Start early, like really early. This is the time you should really start. So this won't be a final draft. Like, you still have like 2 or 3 months to go before you submit them. But I would still say, like, start early. Okay, like allocate regular time, like maybe half an hour daily or an hour daily to write like at least one paragraph or some particular portion of your SOP. Okay. And you can have multiple drafts, right? Like, so you might be applying to a specific program to a particular university and a different program to a different university. And in both these applications, you want to highlight different set of experiences. So you can have multiple drafts in there, like one for, let's say, I want to apply to the ACO and the algorithms and complexity or combinatorial optimization group in Georgia Tech. So that might have a different applications versus a theoretical computer science in some other university, right? So you want to highlight different aspects, so you can have different drafts. So keep them. You can move things from one to another always, right? Again, I cannot really undermine the importance of this. Like, research the school thoroughly. Okay, like, be very specific about like what the faculty do and you can always reach out to faculty. Like you can write to them. Yeah, we are lazy about replying to these emails, but we do read all the emails. Okay. So yeah, write to faculty. If they don't reply within a week or two, probably got buried under a bunch of emails. Don't feel shy to like just remind them again, like just touch base, like, hey, what's going on, kind of thing. Um, so reach out to faculty, ask questions, get any kind of clarifications that you need about the applications from the graduate school. Um, and I would say, like, if you are like anything like me who has this problem of getting started, then I would say, like, read through a few samples. There are a bunch of resources available online with people sharing their SOPs. So you can just go through a few of them. It'll help you get started, right? But one thing I would say, like, just use that as a motivation to get started. Okay, don't use that as a template to write. So, and finally, like, one thing that we hate to see is like grammatical errors and wrong sentences in SOPs. So just edit, and keep editing. You can use some of the online software tools that are available now, which weren't there when I was applying. So something like Grammarly, you could directly use it. The free version is also like decently good enough. That will help you at least like fine tune and get rid of most of the like uh, simple grammatical errors that you would overlook just because you are just used to reading that so many times that you overlook these things. Okay. Which is again like brings us to an important thing, that it is very important for you to like share your SOP, let other people take a look at it. Like just send it out to anyone you trust. Like it could be your faculty mentors, or it could be like your family or friends. Uh, so just send out your SOPs to few people. Uh, Let them do the vetting out. Let them catch the grammatical errors. Let them point out like what are the things that are missing, and you can work on them, right? So in order to get to the last point, it is like to edit more, you really have to finish early. So for that, you have to start early. Okay, so try starting like a draft right now. Like maybe, okay, so today would be like a Sunday evening for you guys. So probably you have a work day tomorrow, but from tomorrow onwards, like just spend about an hour or something writing your first draft. Okay. And finally, some do nots, like some things that you shouldn't do, like ever, is to like plagiarize. You do read a bunch of samples. So it is very easy to get biased and get very comfortable with the language that they have used. But make sure you write on your own. Okay, so do not copy paste, do not take it from other sources. Uh, that doesn't preclude you from taking help from others. Okay, you can always like reach out to some of your mentors or your friends trying to take help, but do not plagiarize. Uh, One other thing that I would really like frown upon is using the same SOPs for all universities. So we usually tend to do that because we are lazy. Like, okay, the deadline is coming. It's in a couple of days. Okay, might as well just change a few sentences here and there and send it to this other university. Uh, do not do that. Like, even though the structure for all these SOPs could be the same, you really want to highlight those aspects which that particular university or that degree program really asks for, right? Even the paragraph about you trying to link your work to that university's requirements, make sure you rewrite that entire thing always. Just do not do like a fill in the blank kind of thing, like change the XYZ to this university and that universities. Do not do that. Uh, be formal when you're writing. Do not use slangs or colloquial languages. Uh, do not be negative. Like more recently, this has been the trend where we are seeing like some really like stories where people have like overcome like really huge challenges like financial crunches or something. Sometimes they're fine, but then if they are true, but don't be like, that sets a very negative tone to begin with. Like so do not be negative. Like try to have a positive outlook towards life and in general towards the program. and try to spin it as a win for you. Okay, so you are winning in your life, and this program will help you win or get towards your goal. Uh, do not use hyperboles. So something like, okay, my goal is to change the world. Don't do that. Be very specific. Do not use quotes, and don't be lazy. Okay, so don't be lazy is very important, because I was one of those guys who was like super lazy while writing these SOPs. It is a daunting task, and we generally tend to like procrastinate things like, okay, fine, I'll do this in the last, let me work on the other aspects of the applications. Don't do that. Start early. Okay, start now. And yeah, that's, thank you for listening. That's all I have to share. Good luck with your applications. I hope to see some of you applying to Syracuse University. So.
I think that was an enlightening session, Professor Venkat. I hope that Professor GV's past experience in academia will be helpful for all of us, and we could take down some notes. I mean, I did, even though I don't even need to write an SOP again, but it was really enriching. You can send in your questions in the chat, and let's roll with the questions that we already have. So the first question that I have is, does the committee which reviews SOP also reviews LORs? And can there be some overlapping experiences in the two documents?
There could be. LORs are not written by you. Okay, so remember, the LORs are written by faculty, and it's their experience that they write. Yeah, it's generally a trend in India to write your own LORs, which is again not so good a practice. It is very easy to identify those LORs. One, because it's from my own experience, I know what an LOR should look like and what an LOR should not look like, right? So yeah, so and also, like, if it is from like prominent faculty members, then we have seen plenty of LORs from that particular person already, right? So we do know the language or what kind of LORs that particular person writes. Right. So yeah, so okay, cutting the long story short, like yeah, we do get the whole packet as a whole. So we have your CV, your SOP, your LORs, your transcripts, and whatnot. The grad school asks for your TOEFL, GRE scores, and everything. So we have the whole packet with us, and we are reviewing the packet as a whole. Okay, your SOP is the thing that really sets you aside from excellent versus good. So again, like I already mentioned, like most of you, everyone has like similar merit. It is very difficult to judge you based on just the merits. So yeah, the SOP really is an important aspect here. And yeah, you can have like similar experiences in LORs and SOPs, because SOP is something that you're writing, LOR is something that person recommending you is writing. So they could be talking about the same thing.
Yeah. The next question that we have is, the person says, I have heard that SOP and all matters only when GPA or undergrad colleges are not so great. How true is that?
It is not exactly true. Like, yeah, I do understand there is, so end of the day, it's a person reviewing your application, right? So there are biases associated. But again, like that being said, we try to keep our biases aside, like in a very conscious way. Like for me, it is very easy to be like, say that, hey, this is an application from IIT, this ought to be good. But we try to keep our biases aside in a very conscious way. We have seen like not so good applications from IITs as well. So yeah, we don't really want to put such biases when we are reviewing applications. So I would say it's not totally true, but yeah, end of the day, there is some human error that does come in, because we are all like bound to have some bias altogether. But yeah, it's not totally true that it matters only if your undergrad university isn't all that good. Like if you write a bad SOP from an IIT, then you do stand a chance of rejection as well.
Right. What is the ideal number of courses or subfields from computer science that we can mention in our SOP if we are interested? Since the field are interrelated, like AI, ML, cloud computing, and so on, so how many should we mention?
Like 2 or 3 is fine, but make sure like you don't keep it like super broad. So if you're mentioning broad topics, like ML, AI, okay, they fall under the same bucket. Like you, but if
Yeah.
you say, hey, I'm interested in theoretical computer science and AI and machine and let's say like programming languages, so that kind of like is a super broad domain, right? Like you don't
Mhm.
really want to like be very broad in terms of your interests, but
Mhm.
you can of course like express 2 or 3 interests in related areas.
Can volunteer work or teaching experience be non-relevant to the applied course? For example, conducting language workshops or any other non-technical volunteer work, can they be used for introduction or background, even though they are not relevant to the course being applied to?
So it might not be relevant to the course being applied to, but it might be relevant towards the goal that you want to achieve,
Mm.
right? So if your goal is, let's say, like you want to become an educator, or if you're pursuing a PhD, if you're applying for a PhD, then it's a very
Yes.
important aspect, right? Like we do see if your goal is becoming an educator, and we really want to encourage educators. And your teaching
Mhm.
profile, like even if it is not related to teaching something computer science related, it does show the fact that you have experience, relevant experience in teaching.
Right.
So that is very important thing, and I would say like I would really recommend you to highlight that part.
That's great. Is it necessary to start with the personal story in SOP?
Not necessary, of course. Like again, what I said, like it's a personal opinion here. What is more important is for you to like give a bait for the reader to keep reading on. I have seen like very simple beginnings that, hi, I'm applying for so and so program. Uh, and so like even that is okay. Like it's a very simple thing. Like, and even simple things can be nice. It doesn't really always have to be like a start with a bang kind of thing. Um, but yeah, it's not a necessity that you always have some personal story associated with the beginning.
Aditya is asking, will it be a good idea to mention professor's name in SOP with whom you have worked with? Because the professor is from CMU, he wants to mention that in the SOP. So, is
Yeah,
it a good idea?
yeah, you can always mention the names of your mentors, like who shaped your particular interest, right? So, so that is one. Like mentioning names of professors who you have worked with is a good idea, of course. And it is very important for you to mention names of professors in that particular department that you want to work with.
Mhm.
Uh, and what we generally do is like if you do fall under the excellent kind of bucket, and now like there are too many excellent students and we don't know whom to go for, then we send these to the particular professors that you have listed. So if you would have listed my name, then your application comes to me in the second round of vetting, and if I say if I give a green light, then it's a green light,
Yeah.
right? So it is important to specify like the names of professors. Also, it like something probably I would have missed out on is if you are applying for, let's say, like a master's or PhDs, like it would be good to like list a bunch of questions or the kind of issues that you want to see solved. Like you can be specific in terms of this question, like if you want to address fairness in AI or some other kind of such things, like just list of 4 or 5 questions. It just shows that you have thought about these things, you have thought about your goals, uh, and you thought about this particular issues in the area that you want to pursue your studies in. So that sets you apart in general.
Some colleges are having professional masters in CS. How to prepare the SOP to suit that? In what ways should it be different from the thesis-based traditional MS in computer science?
So thesis based is so okay. So by professional, you mean the non-thesis? Like every university has a thesis and a
Yeah,
non-thesis track usually.
right. Mhm.
So the non-thesis track is looking for more like a broad interest kind of thing. Thesis, you really want to. It is something like a step down from a PhD. That's it. Like for thesis work, you do work with a professor. You do spend something like 6 months to a year working on a particular problem. So you really want to be like very specific about a particular area that you want to work with. For general non-thesis, like it is not required for you to be that specific in terms of like research directions or research questions. Like not everyone wants to be a researcher, right? We do understand that. And masters is not meant for just researchers. It is meant for
Right.
anyone who wants to like, for advanced engineers, a master's is something that you really want. So yeah, so you just want to like motivate your particular thing in a specific direction to address the needs of that program.
Right. Sure. How much should we write about our work and future prospects?
I would say that forms kind of the main bulk of your SOP, right? Like your experience and your future prospects. I would say spend about, so it depends on the length that you are really asked for. In a 1-page SOP, I would say spend about like 2 paragraphs, like close to 60% of your SOP, like dealing with your experiences and your future prospects.
What is a good introduction to a SOP? I think we covered that in the slides, but yeah, probably you can give an example or something.
Example might be difficult. Like I have seen, it's all about like how you want to portray yourself, right? So you can start with a personal experience. So something that shaped your entire interests. It could be like, okay, I can't be like very specific, but it could be like something like, okay, you did attend some summer school, or you did attend, or when you were like, or how a particular instance where technology really helped you and that really gave you a hook towards understanding this better, or you trying to, you having difficulties communicating with some other person in a different language, and then you kind of like thought about this problem and you really want to like pursue this problem of like bridging languages together or something like that. Like anything that gives us, keeps us interested in reading the thing further, right?
How to write a better SOP for students with a lower CGPA? How to write a better,
For lower CGPA, I would say, okay, CGPA is one thing that we do look into, but it's not the only thing. Your letter of recommendations make a huge difference. If your recommenders really say that, okay, yeah, you did really well in other aspects, that speaks out. And this is what you really want to highlight, right? Like in your SOP, you really want to say like, okay, your CGPA doesn't define you. It is your other experiences that defines you. So you want to put out your other experiences there. That is exactly why your SOP is important, because it gives you an opportunity to show that you are more than your CGPA or just your university rankings. So yeah, I would say like, if your CGPA is where you're lacking, then make up for it in your SOPs.
right. Sure. Next question is, what is best LOR, and who should ideally give it? As I haven't done any research or paper presentation as such, how do I go about it?
So LOR could be from anyone who can write concretely about your work. Okay, it could be a faculty with whom you have taken a course and you have done really well. So your LOR, like it doesn't really matter a whole lot on who writes an LOR as long as it's a strong LOR. So people don't write a bad LOR generally. Okay, so it is either a very strong LOR or it's a bland LOR. And the bland LORs are what we consider as not so good LORs. So what you really want is you want to talk to people who will give you a strong letter of recommendation.
Right.
Anyone who would like very strongly support your application to that particular university. It need not be one of the big names, or it need not be someone with a research background. It could be like a professor with whom you have taken courses, or with whom you have done some volunteer work, or let's say like some internships that you have done. It could be like from the mentors or the managers from that internship domain. So anyone who speaks about your experiences. and it should be in detail, like having spoken in detail, like at right level. Uh, yeah, it's usually like if you're drafting your own LORs, which I have seen many people do that, then we tend to like it's like there's a whole lot written in there for many different experiences put all together. That's
Mhm.
not usually how an LOR should look like.
How to convey our leadership skills learned at work that can benefit us during graduation program.
Sorry, how to
So
portray
she's
leadership
talking
skills?
about, so she's probably from like a tech background or something, the corporate. So she wants to write about the leadership skills learned at work that can benefit her in her master's.
So
So
yeah,
how
like
does
the
she
one
convey that?
experience that you want to that you could highlight, right? Like in your
Mhm.
experiences, you could talk about a challenge that you have faced where you stood up and you took up a leadership position and you got a
Mhm.
win out of it. So yeah, so that could be a very good experience to portray your leadership skills. So yeah, when you're writing about experiences, that is what I meant by being specific. Like try to show how. So demonstrate, right, rather than just write about the fact that you have leadership skills. Like
Right.
how could you demonstrate that in like a very succinct one paragraph?
Mhm. State some examples and
Yeah.
situations.
Mhm.
Yeah. How do we write SOPs without any experience and without any courses on a resume?
So you would have done courses in your undergraduate if you
Yeah.
were applying for a master's, right? So you will have experiences. Trust me. Like it is about identifying those. Uh, you have come so far applying for a master's program. You do have relevant experiences that are motivating you to apply. All
Right.
you have to do is like think about them, like just recall like whatever you have. Um, you would have experiences. It's just that you are not identifying them at the current point, I would say.
For a thesis-based program, do you recommend mentioning professors you would like to work with? Yes, he does recommend. He just mentioned in the presentation, but she's asking if she's not sure if the professor is taking master students or not. So would it be advisable then also to mention the
It,
professor's name?
it doesn't hurt. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, as long as you identify the correct professor for the correct domain that you are claiming to work in, right? So mentioning my name for something that I don't do will not really help you.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that is all. That are all the questions that we have. If you still have more questions, you can connect. Yeah, okay. We have one more interesting question. Is it ever a good idea to write about a negative opinion? For example, a criticism of some place you have worked at to strengthen your motivation for applying. So somebody had a bad experience and that has even more motivated them to apply.
Like I would recommend against being negative in your
Mhm.
SOPs, but again, like it's again my opinion. Personally, I would not like to see someone like put down a particular place or a particular uh, position.
Person.
Yeah,
Hmm.
but again, like I would recommend against doing that though.
Aditya asks, can you mention your research work through though the paper is not published?
Yeah, you can write that as a manuscript. You say, okay, the manuscript is under preparation.
Right.
Possible, you can always like, if you already have the manuscript, which is not accepted depending on the place where you're submitting the rules of that particular place. Like usually for CS conferences or journals, uh, people kind of encourage you to like upload things on archive or some other like open source places. Like you could basically post your paper on GitHub or on your personal webpage uh,
Mhm.
or LinkedIn, where the faculty can take a look at it. And So yeah, you can always mention that the manuscript is under preparation, and you might have like submitted to XYZ conference or journal, and it is under review.
Right.
It is an acceptable thing to write. Yeah.
I think that is all. If you have any more questions, then Akshay has already posted the WhatsApp group link. I have posted my LinkedIn. You can connect with Professor Venkat on LinkedIn as well. And we'd love to answer your questions. Um, I'd like to present a word of thanks to the speaker, Professor GV, for an enlightening session. It was great connecting with you. I'd also like to thank all the attendees for joining in, sharing your questions, your doubts with Bhartiyam. We are here to help. You can always connect with us anywhere on the Bhartiyam Contact Us website. You can contact us on LinkedIn. I'd give it over to Akshay to let us know more about Bhartiyam. Yeah.
Now, nothing. I don't want to mention anything about Bhartiyam as such. It was thank you, Professor GV. Thanks a lot for joining us today. It was very helpful session, and thanks a lot to all the participants. And many of you guys might already be part in that WhatsApp group we have created. That's just one platform we want to create so that a lot of people can interact. We have many volunteers from our side there answering your questions. There are people who have recently joined. There are people who have joined a couple years ago. There are some experienced professionals. So utilize that facility to ask more questions and to clear your doubts, and also let us know. You can directly reach out to us, info@bhartiyam.us, or through that WhatsApp groups. Let us know what else we can do so to make your admission process, application process easier, and to help you there. And one thing I also want to clearly mention, Bhartiyam is a completely non-profit volunteer-run organization. If anyone connects you on behalf of Bhartiyam or presents it themselves as part of Bhartiyam and asks you for some sort of money, or no one from Bhartiyam will do ever that. And if they're doing, let us know. We'll make sure they can't do ever again. So that's what I just wanted to know. Please connect with us. I've shared Facebook link or WhatsApp group link, and do let us know how else we can help you guys. I will be very happy to do that. Thanks a lot for joining us today. And once again, thank you, GV.
Thanks for having me. It was a wonderful session. Right. Thank you, everyone. Good luck for your applications.
And once this, you guys can stay here if you want to discuss anything, if you want to ask. Now everyone can unmute themselves. We'll change the settings soon, so you can unmute and ask for questions or anything you want to. Yeah.
Hello.
Hello. Sir, good morning. Sir, earlier I asked a question regarding leadership skills. Due to network issues.
Well, I guess the network issue persists. But yeah, like roughly what I really wanted to say is like, yeah, if you want to talk about your leadership skills, it is really nice. You should be able to do that in your experiences. Like recount a place where you are faced with a challenge and where you stood up and demonstrated your leadership skills. Just mention it as a experience, as a anecdote or a particular yeah, so in your body, like make sure you do mention it. Were you able to catch it?
Thank you, sir.
If you missed any part, we'll upload this video on YouTube, right, Akshay?
Yeah, we'll upload it in some time. And of course, there is this group always there where you can answer. I understand, Professor GV, now you might be tired. So if you have some common questions and things, we can discuss them more. If you have something very specific about yourself, feel free to post those questions in the group, and there'll be someone to answer them.
Yeah.
And if there is enough interest, if people want, let us know. If more of your friends want, let us know. We might do something similar once again. Okay, so I see no more specific questions from people in general. So let us end this meeting, and thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, GV, once again. Yeah, bye everyone.
Good day, everyone.